by the Priestess of Mami, the thunder, which caused a great dispersion of these matriarchs and their temples. And it was during this period that you see the erection, and this is what is constantly put in the history books and that we are exposed to, is the huge megaliths of Ramses and Menes, and Amenhotep and on, of the males. And then you see the female in a diminutive stature next to him, not even coming up to his knees in some cases. Well, in ancient times, it was the reverse. And the reason why you know this, because I don't, well, it's in the book Mami Wata, but I also have it on my website. If these women, these mothers fled to what was then called Ionia, and now they're called the Grecian islands. They fled there. In fact, Ionia means the yoni, the mother spirit, the vagina. They fled there and set up civilization there. And if you look at her megaliths, it's only her. These are not small images of votive or fertility dot. The huge megaliths of Artemis, Black Diana, with triple crowns on her head to show that she was the ruler of all of that region. Not just there, but all the way in ancient Turkey, the Mitanni Empire, where Queen Sheba comes from. This is, all those megaliths are of her, and just her. Whereas you see back to Egypt during that period, it was him. So there was a battle for hegemony and sacerdotal rule, spiritual rule, because all the surrounding nomadic tribes that were threatening the kingdom were all patriarchal. The Persians, the Assyrians, the Horites, the Turks, and on and on and on. And in the beginning, our job was to subsume these tribes. In other words, to civilize them through the mother blood. It's women who lay down culture. The pharaohs didn't create that civilization. It was their mothers, along with their fathers. It's in this Mitanni Empire, which ruled for 26 centuries, where the Sibyls were predominant. Now, who were the Sibyls? The Sibyls were the first oracle of God, our God. More specifically, they were the first oracles of prophecy and the dead, the divine dead. They prophesied regularly throughout all the temples. Now keep in mind, every street you drive down, wherever you may live, you see a Christian church. Well, that's how the Sibyl temples were. Everywhere you went throughout the ancient world, every corner you turned, there was a temple, a Sibyl temple. And of course, their powers of prophecy range from your common priestess to your grand priestesses, who gave the oracle for all the world. This is who the Sibyls were. It was not Noah. Let's rewind and go back to ancient Babylon, because they were everywhere. They were in Babylon, they were in Samaria, They were in Mecca, which they built. They were in Rome. They, of course, were all throughout Greece. They were everywhere in the known world, and they were known throughout the known world for their prophecy. And the world depended on their prophecy. It was they who prophesied the divine kings that now the Christians call Christ. Through their through the solar system. You had the male counter to them, which were the Chaldean priests, and they were African, the astrologer. She was the grand, she was the mother, she was the chief of astrology. And even until today, in West African traditional cultures, tradition exists.
Mother, it's interesting you just spoke on that, because sometimes when I talk to people about matriarchy, or when people, hear the word matriarchy, they just think it's a bunch of women-hating men, but they don't understand that, of course, men, reference the Great Mother as well. And that brings me to something you just spoke on about this whole rift as far as the fight that was going on in Kemet in ancient times. And it brings me to this question that I have about the Amazons. And I wanted you to speak on them, because there's one in particular that they always show as white that was fighting in this Trojan War. And, they give Achilles all this attention, but you even spoke about that in your book. And I wanted to know, because I don't know when that time period was as far as it relates to her story, as far as what was going on with our temples. But I never understood why those Amazons were even fighting in the Trojan War.
The Amazons were the stormtroopers and the protectors of Mother Right. Especially when they fled out of Egypt and Ethiopia, Somalia, that whole East African region. They were the stormtroopers of Mother Right. Based on the oracle, they defended the complementary, not man-hating. That was the Greeks who hated them because they feared them immensely. They were the builders of the megaliths. They were, when they talk about the Masons, they just give the impression that it was pretty much a male order, but it wasn't. They were the builders and the namers and founders of cities. The ancient biblical city of Ephesus, they founded that for Artemis, the Black Diana, and built it 3 times. Each time it would be invaded, they destroy it before they let it be seized, and then they come back in and rebuild it. The Amazons were warriors. Just on a side note, there's a lot of side notes, a lot of ironies in history. We talk about interracial dating, and we kind of focus on black men today. But actually it was the ancient mothers, because that was her right to spread the divine seed. It was she. Through the Amazons in particular, anywhere they set up military camp, they would breed with the men there, regardless of race. And then they would leave the children with the men to raise while they went off and took off to war.
Oh, wow.
At least the reverse of what's happening now. Like we hear a lot about U.S. soldiers coming back and having fathered children throughout the land that they went to war in. Well, that's how they were then. That's how they were then. And it was considered an honor to have had a child by an Amazonian or anyone from Africa, any mother from Africa, mother blood. But they were very Their origin, as far as my research has led me, was in Libya, ancient Libya, where one of the first Sibyl temples and one of the oldest existed in ancient Libya. And they, the Gargon, heard of the Gargon, the mask. Well, anyway, that's the bridle, the sacred power of the queen. It was the Amazons were led by a queen mother, warrior, chiefess. She carried the ancestral power her through this apparatus, bridle.